In this video, we're going to give you everything you need to know about Attila to get extreme value in Rise of Kingdoms. We're going to talk about the very best talents that we ourselves used for over 9 months doing rallies and fighting in the open field. So stick around for everything you need to get extreme value with the very best legendary cavalry commander that has ever hit Rise of Kingdoms. What is going on? Governor Chisgule here, and today we're giving you everything you need to know to get extreme value with Attila. If you like Rise of Kingdoms guides that help you get value and smash your enemies, consider smashing that subscribe button for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. We are a sponsored content creator, and I profoundly underestimated how much Attila was going to change the game in Rise of Kingdoms. No, seriously, I literally underestimated how insanely good this commander is. He is one of the very best commanders, arguably, in the game, and there is a lot that makes him powerful, both as a rally leader and an open field commander. We are going to very briefly review his skills so that you can understand why it is that he performs so well. We're going to give you my very best talent builds that we have used literally as the sort of multiplier for our kingdom, rallying and fighting in the field extensively, testing extensively against all garrisons and all combos. And last but not least, we're going to talk just very briefly about some of the pairs that you can use with Attila, because comedically, there's really one primary combination that you should be using, but it's a fair question to ask if there's something other than Takeda that you can use with this commander. So the first thing I want to talk about is why this commander is so insanely good for literally 9 months of your gameplay in Rise of Kingdoms. Basically, KVK Season 3 through KVK Season 5, this is the rally commander you're going to be using. And if you're a rally leader in Rise of Kingdoms, or you want to be, yeah, this is a great commander to be investing in. This is largely because he is doing normal attack damage and counterattack damage instead of a ton of major skill damage from his active skill. What this means is that you're going to inflict more severe wounds than you normally would, and that gets you crazy value. The active skill makes it so that for 4 seconds, the normal attacks and counterattacks led by this commander deal 30% increased damage, and your normal attacks have a 50% chance to reduce the target's attack by 50%. That is a major attack reduction for 2 seconds, and it can trigger once every 2 seconds. That is a very powerful buff that you are applying to yourself and debuff that you are applying to the enemy when it does, in fact, trigger. The next skill is garrison specific. This is increasing the damage that you deal to garrisons by 5%, and you also have a 10% chance to reduce the defense of the garrison by 25% for 3 seconds. All around, very solid if you are hitting a garrison. The next skill is really definitive for Attila. It makes it so that you take 15% less skill damage, but also deal 30% less skill damage, profoundly reducing the number of viable commander pairings for Attila. Because yeah, 30% damage from your skills is massive. So at the same time, you are getting other benefits here. Cavalry gain 15% increased march speed, which is actually pretty phenomenal, and 40% attack. I love commanders that have a downside because you can basically min-max, and that's an idea where you're going all in on one aspect of a commander and really emphasizing it at the cost of everything else. Yeah, you can't do great skill damage with Attila. You don't care. He's all in on normal attack damage. I really like this skill, and it's very, very powerful. The next skill makes it so that when you have only cavalry, so this is a little bit of a pain in the butt. If somebody reinforces your rally with the wrong thing, it really does profoundly wreck the rally. But the normal attacks have a chance to increase all damage for 2 turns. There's a 25% chance that you get 50% more damage for 2 turns. And there's a 25% chance that you get 100% extra damage for 2 turns, which is kind of nutty. I mean, it's very astonishing how powerful these skills are. And the final skill, the Scourge of God, what a name. Troops led by Attila are immune to silence effects. A silence makes it so you cannot use your active skill. So there's no stopping him from using his active skill. That applies to the primary and secondary commander. And when the enemy has less than 50% of troops remaining, the normal attacks against the target deal 20% increased damage. So this is significant because if you are rallying, then the target that is measured for are they less than 50% is actually the garrison captain's march. So when the garrison captain has less than 50% of troops left in the march that they are contributing to the garrison, then you start doing 20% more damage, which means honestly, for the majority of the time you're hitting a garrison, you're going to have 20% more damage, a big deal for sure. Now, after you leave combat, you also gain 50% march speed for 3 seconds. I mean, the dude is extremely maneuverable in the open field. He is honestly phenomenal. And these skills are important to ground yourselves in because I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about the leaving battle, gaining march speed thing here. And I've been using him in the open field a lot. And it's no wonder he's just so freaking amazing there. So let me show you the thing that you've probably been waiting for and you came here for, and that is my talent builds. Now look, I have spent dozens upon dozens upon dozens of hours rallying with this commander. This is the one build I would use on Attila. Is it the best build? Maybe there's better. Maybe there's better. There's been some variations I've seen. But this is the build I would use, and there's maybe a point or two I would move around actually as I look at this now, but let me walk you through what I've done here. I have avoided every single point of march speed in the cavalry tree. You don't need march speed for a rally, not really. That's not what matters. What matters is when you get there and how much damage you deal. So I focus on raw damage and also a bit of survivability. We take all the great stats we can find, including a whole bunch of attack, damage against archers. We got a little bit of rage gen. I actually would like to shift one more point over there. And we also get a bunch of points in the attack tree. Now, one of the reasons that Attila is so good, and this is so profoundly underestimated, is this one talent right here, Burning Blood. Burning Blood makes you get 6 rage every time your troops are attacked if you get swarmed. You are going to get an unbelievable amount of rage. Well, Attila and Takeda don't have ways to generate rage. So this one thing right here gives you an astonishing amount of rage if the opponent decides they are going to try to swarm you, which is a huge mistake. You get a ton of stats from the Lord of War. Effortless is phenomenal, giving you a huge amount of damage while you stay in combat for a long period of time. You, of course, want to get Martial Mastery, increasing your normal attack damage and decreasing your active skill damage because you don't do any active skill damage. So this is 100% upside over here. I go all in and I take Fight to the Death. This gives you 6% more damage dealt, but increases damage taken by 3%. Look, like, they can't keep up with you. Your Attila Takeda is going to be nutty. So I just go for maximum punish, and that really has worked very, very well for me. I also go all the way to Entrenched. This gives you 3% extra damage to strongholds and reduces the damage you take from strongholds by 3%. Along the way, you're getting a very, very, very exceptional talent here, Buckler Shield, which reduces the counterattack damage you take by 9%. This commander with this configuration is insanely powerful. And I'll talk briefly about Buckler Shield because one of the combos that will be used to stop you is Charles Martel with Constantine. All that combo does is normal attack damage and counterattack damage, so reducing the counterattack damage taken is a big deal. I also elevate your own counterattack damage just a little bit over here, 1.5% extra counterattack damage. Now, if you're looking for a build in the open field, this is the one I would recommend to you. I've dropped a lot of talents that you see people commonly take, including Effortless, which is a talent I was just saying is amazing. The reality is that if you're in an open field battle, targets are not just going to stand still for you. And if you are in a position to outmaneuver your opponent, then okay, you might be able to get some value from Effortless, but I'll tell you what will definitely get you value is taking less counterattack damage, is generating rage, is dealing more damage when you get into a contest. So I like this particular build for open field. This is the one I would use. If you are looking for another variation, however, that does have Effortless, here it is. We miss out on what I would argue is a lot of really important talent points in order to get Effortless. I really do believe in the Buckler Shield Undying Fury combo as the higher value play, and that's what I would strongly recommend that you take as your build for the open field. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, in a lot of my videos where I am battling at the Altar of Darkness and Ancient Ruins, I'm actually using my rally build. It's possible I should be spending, thousands and thousands of gems switching my build back and forth. And from a pure resource efficiency standpoint, that might be a fair statement. But I'm not really buying resources for gems, and you probably aren't either. So if you're sticking with a rally build, you can use this in the open field, and you have so many ways to get march speed. Attila gives you 15%, as I was describing earlier. He gives you 50% when you leave combat. Like, you've got a lot of ways to evade really difficult situations already baked into his kit, which is remarkably powerful, especially if you are pairing with Takeda. Now, in terms of the order in which you should unlock his skills, if what you want to do is optimize for the open field, max the first skill, then take him to 4 stars, and hope that a bunch of your points land over here. The Battle of the Catalonian Plains is a very effective skill. If you're rallying with this commander, you've got a little bit less to worry about. If you're rallying with him, then you're going to go for the expertise skill. You're going to go all the way here. And if we're talking about open field for just a moment more, when is this commander viable in the open field compared to other commanders? I would say that after you've got him to 5-1-1-1, you're in a pretty good spot to start using him in the open field, but I would much prefer if you could land a few more points in this third skill. The march speed is going to go a really long way, and I suppose if you are using him purely for open field, then this is maybe less of a concern. You can use the open field build and you'll have a lot more march speed baked in there. But I just want to advocate for a moment that a part of what makes Attila so difficult to deal with is that he takes less skill damage, and you accomplish that by maxing out this skill. A part of what makes him so difficult is that you deal so much counterattack damage, and you accomplish that in part by having this skill in a great place. So would I be running around in the open field with a 5-1-1-1 Attila? Probably not. I mean, I would stick with your Alex Esong if that's what you're thinking about doing, if you've got those both expertise, which I think those are really good projects. So no, I wouldn't run around really with a 5-1-1 Attila. You could do it, but you'd really want to have these skills advanced a good bit more before you try to use them in the field. Now, when we talk about pairings for this commander, it's a little weird. We've talked already about how he reduces the skill damage you deal, which profoundly reduces the number of likely viable combinations. You could theoretically pair up with a Julius Caesar and use him in the open field. I would not rally with this combo, but in the open field, you'd have more troops. You're a good bit more tanky. You're elevating the damage that you deal. I mean, it's an interesting combination. I don't love it. Even Caesar's got some skill damage from the expertise that is going to be diminished. I really do feel the one true pairing for your Attila is going to be a Takeda, who, by the way, you don't have to level up past 40. To use Attila without Takeda seems like a weird choice, and that's part of the problem with the combination, is that you really are going to have to invest in multiple commanders to get some really great value. Now, for rallies, I have seen some kind of nutty stuff going on with an Attila primary and a Chandragupta secondary. If you can believe it, this works. Even though Attila is reducing skill damage by 30%, and yeah, make no mistake, your Chandragupta is dealing skill damage from their 4th skill. Despite that, you're going to get a ton of value with that combo, and if you wanted to go all in on a Attila Chandragupta pairing, you could do it. It's less tanky though, and at the end of the day, a part of what makes Attila Takeda so powerful is the sustain that Takeda brings to a rally. Takeda is going to be doing a remarkable amount of healing and offer a fair amount of tankiness. And so that sustain is what allows you to rally even far off of your territory, far away from where you might want to reinforce, and do some pretty fierce work against your target. I like this combination a whole heck of a lot, and I'm probably going to be using it in the open field in KVK Season 6 still, because I don't know that there's something profoundly better than the Takeda and Attila combination. And I'll add that maybe we'll see. Maybe Harold will get it done, but you still are probably going to need multiple marches for the field. Attila Takeda is just going to be a staple, even beyond the KVK Season 5, where I think at the conclusion of that, their role as a rally leader will be profoundly diminished. So if you're wondering whether or not you should invest in Attila, this is a very interesting question. For players that are on the free-to-play warpath, I do feel that Alexander the Great and Esong are really great projects, and if you haven't finished those up, start there. Attila is an unlock from the Mightiest Governor, and for a free-to-play player, he is going to be really tough to get your hands onto until Card King shows up, and then and only then, far after when he was first released, will you be able to start to get his sculptures and get some serious value. If you're the kind of player that is migrating regularly back to younger kingdoms, then I would make the argument investing in Attila and Takeda as a combination is a very powerful long-term investment that you can literally, like every 3 KVKs, migrate back and still get value from your Attila Takeda, which is kind of amazing. So if you don't mind traveling back in time, or if that's your strategy, then I think it is a really solid investment that will last you for quite a while. For moderate to heavy spenders, if you want to rally, it's really good. If you want to slay in the field, it's really good. People often wondered, Chisgule, how are you getting so many severe wounds inflicted? And it's the Attila Takeda normal attack damage, no question about it. My gear is good, but it's that normal attack magic that really does the majority of the work. If you want to see some videos where we've used Attila Takeda extensively, I'll have a whole slew of cards up in the top, ranging from when we unlocked this commander to actually using him in the field. And I want to add for just a moment that Attila is a commander that should stay on the outside of the main combat. If you want to get the most out of your Attila and whoever you pair him with, probably Takeda, then my very strong recommendation to you is that you try not to take area of effect damage. He doesn't do area of effect damage. You're probably not pairing him with someone who does area of effect damage. So don't be taking the kind of damage that you can't deal out. You want to stay on the outside of combat, picking people off, focusing targets down, and that's why reducing the counterattack damage you take is such a big deal, because you want to try to create as many situations as possible where you're not taking normal attack damage or even skill damage. You're focusing down targets that are hitting somebody else. And by virtue of focusing them down, you do some serious work. And folks will probably target you eventually, but they know Attila Takeda does so much counterattack damage, it's almost correct for them to ignore you and focus on somebody else, which is all upside for you. One other thing we need to talk about with this commander is using him in Canyon. I personally don't like Attila Takeda as a combination in Canyon. In my opinion, Canyon is a game mode where you're bringing 5 marches that really need to do the maximum amount of synergy possible. By that, I mean, you want to have all commanders that either do area of effect damage or do area of effect debuffs or do something that is buffing all of the other commanders nearby. That's why you see commanders like Constantine, Joan of Arc, Richard I even, Artemisia, Ethelfled, Esong, Guan, Alex, right? Like those are the commanders you see everywhere, but I do want to point out that some top tier Canyon players do use Attila Takeda, so it is a thing that happens. I would argue that it is less frequent than other combinations, as you can see, and I would not invest in Attila as a commander with the intention of trying to use him in Canyon as a top tier pick, because I simply don't think it is a top tier pick for Canyon specifically. Do me a favor, if you enjoyed this video, throw a like onto here and consider subscribing for daily Rise of Kingdoms videos. I can't believe that we got so much value from this commander, and honestly, as far as legendary commanders go, he's got to be the absolute top tier for me in terms of value. My total kill count might look a little low here. Part of the magic of Attila is that the normal attack damage shares the kills you accomplish very evenly with the rest of the rally, unlike skill damage commanders, which, if you're the rally captain, boy oh boy, you hog a lion's share of the kills, or at least you used to. If there's any other uses you found for your Attila, let me know down below in the comments. I'd be eager to see that. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.